that also brings up, I think, a bigger problem within that is when you're a creator like you or me or Womp Stomp Films or any of these people, when you ask anyone for anything, they're so fast to call you an eBayer. Social Blade says I make between 800 something dollars and like $27,000 a month based on my views, right? Well, here's the fucking cap. I'm burnt out on shorts because I think I'm just being every other content creator. They're already making $1 million. They got 1 million subscribers. I'm depressed about it. I'm sad about it. I don't really know what I want to do.
Where do you see the Merkins channel going in 2024 here? Like, what do you think, is next for you? What's going on, guys? Yes, we are here with Roy from the Merkins, the man behind the mask. Yes, sir. Thank you for sitting down and joining us.
Anytime I've got this mask on, I try to make my sound quality as good as I can. And you can, I know you know me personally from back in the day and doing some videos together and working together. So, thanks for calling me by my alias on the channel there. And who knows how long that's going to stick if I could ever make an original character. But thank you for having me on.
Of course, yes. This has been something we've been wanting to get with you for a minute because, as you said, yes, we do know each other personally. We were there, working and doing things together. Again, I don't want to give away too much so that way these internet sleuths will connect all the dots and be like, "We've got it," because that's one of the things that blows my mind is like, how well you've kept your identity a secret. Like, it's just kind of amazing. So, and that's something that I don't think a lot of people really put that much thought into when they first start like a YouTube channel. Is like, do I want to be kind of faceless and just kind of be this like character, or do I want to just put myself out there? Because that's something I didn't think about that, Luke. I don't know if you thought about that when we did this. We just kind of said, I'm Dylan and this is Luke and we're just going to do this. But it's kind of one of those things. Once you start climbing up there in numbers, it's like, I see that. I see the advantages to that.
Yeah. I think there's advantages and disadvantages. I think Kiss wouldn't be quite as big live, and they wouldn't be able to carry themselves on into infinity without being able to put paint on somebody else, or they don't show aging as much. You know what I mean? You can put a wig on, you can paint your face, and I think that gives them that extra longevity. But they also own those characters. So for me, I probably chose the wrong mask to be running around on to create a brand, but you don't always think about those things. But I think for what you guys are doing, one big thing that I'm missing out on is people do like a face to attach to a brand. I think it gives it a personal feel, and my voice has been the only thing to carry over. And I think if I had a face or a personality or an original character, it definitely would have helped, kind of push me to the future a little bit more, in a successful way, because I would own some of the time and effort I'd put into, whether it's my own face or whether it's a character or whatever.
Yeah, and I mean, again, like you said, it just kind of you just kind of get the ball rolling, and then everything just kind of starts moving from there. So really, at times you don't even have a second to consider it. But I think that's one of the things that I admire about your content so much, is just that it's like this has been kind of something impressive where, not to this interview, like for everybody, I think we'll do a brief intro before this where we already said it, but I'm not trying to go too deep into just like the whole the backstory, because it's like if there's interviews out there, we know what's going on. Obviously, you guys had a few of your Slashstreet Boy videos out, and then the one took off with World Star.
Yep,
which
exactly.
That was huge, and that like boosted you guys up, and then ever since then, you guys kind of became this pinnacle in the horror community of like getting articles in, Dread Central, Bloody Disgusting. People are always looking for that next Merkins video, and you guys kind of just took the horror community by storm. So I think today what we're really going to talk about is just kind of what you've learned, what you've kind of come across, and just more like what are some big tips and big things that we can kind of look forward to as wanting to be up and coming content creators from somebody who has, I guess, made it to the promised land of having over 1 million subscribers and, you know, having all these play buttons and infamy. It's just like, it's rare that we get to sit down and talk with somebody who's so open and honest about that. So that's what
Yeah.
I think we're going to shoot for today. So,
Yeah,
um,
yeah, no problem. And however you want to run that with the questions, I'll answer them because yeah, I think there's a lot of answers in there to some of the things you had just mentioned.
And so I think I'll kick things off here. I want to talk about just kind of, you know, starting off with a couple of icebreakers, some basic
Yeah.
stuff. But what was it that kind of made you want to pick up the camera and go down the road of content creation?
Sorry, it's hard to take a drink.
You're good.
So I don't know. I mean, I was always intrigued about pop culture, nostalgia, even nostalgia when I was younger, just the way that things look. And I think it's more of like a creative direction that always made me excited, or the curation of a project. I don't know if it was film or if it was music or if it was direction, if it was writing. I think it was all the things coming together as one. So like I became interested in music from the start. I had to take piano lessons when I was growing up, did it for almost 15 years. And I really didn't like it when, you know, because I was like, well, I just want to go outside and play. I want to go shoot hoops. I want to go hang out with my friends. But as I got older, you know, in high school, a little bit after high school, I was like, all right, I want to play in a band. I like the creation of music, setting a tone, creating a vibe. You know, and it's fun to work with people too, you know, like it's fun to collaborate. But for me, I started to see people do rap music videos and short films, and I would just see how the text played into it, how the music played into it, how the audio quality, the video quality, the bokeh, that blur, that wide angle shot, all these things that make a movie have and I probably sound like a dumbass because I can't figure out any of these words. I have 3 kid under 6 brain, and it never works too well. But just the whole atmosphere that a piece of content can make. And for me, it could have been a commercial.
Hmm.
It wasn't I was going to the movie theater and it was blowing my mind. It did blow my mind, but just a piece of content, 2 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 seconds, 2 hours, 3, whatever it was just the way that people can keep consistency and a vibe within cinematography or content creation. So I think that's what essentially made me pick up a camera, was how can I tell the story of the music even further? And I know it started out with joke songs. You were back in the day with some things I did that I won't even mention
Hmm.
because I'm pretty sure they're hidden on the internet, but I'm not 100% sure. But just how things coincide or coexist together with visuals and audio and ideas. I think that's what really drew me to pick up a camera, is I think I could broaden, you know, I would see people, they got a DSLR because that was huge, man. I had never, and you know, you both know, I had never touched a camera, not a photo camera, not a video camera, until the Nikon D3100 came out. It
Hmm.
was like one of the first DSLRs, and that's what kind of just, you know, it's different. You know, when you would pick up your iPhone, whatever the first iPhone was, or whatever silly little camera was, you don't get any depth. You don't get any of the cinematic qualities. When people started using those little nifty $100 50 millimeters and putting it on a DSLR, you're like, damn, that shit kind of looks like a movie. It could, you know, it could pass as looking somewhat, you know. And I just think that once I had that correlation between the equipment and the look, I kind of never turned back. I just tried to push myself as forward as possible.
So it was always just the kind of urge, the flame in you to just kind of create is just, it seems like that's what you're going for, is just like you had this need to want to pick something up and just actually get out there and make something cinematic, make something that, like, not that you just looked and saw on the screen, but something
Yeah.
that just like, there was almost like this instinctual need to do it. And I
And
definitely get that from
being
your content.
successful, I didn't mention that, but being successful was definitely like a 50-50 in there. Like you
Mm.
wanted you wanted to be like, why am I depressed? I'm not doing well in college, this wasn't for me. Everybody else is graduate. You know what I mean? Like that was also a motivator of, I would love to I would love to make money having fun and
Oh
doing
yeah.
something that I enjoy instead of and there's nothing wrong with sitting and working at the computer because you'll always have time, or sitting and working at a grocery store, working at a cash register. None of that matters. Everybody has to make their living no matter what it is. But having a side hustle that could turn into something that was your full-time job was one of the excitements because you could do it forever.
Oh yeah.
And you could live a life while creating.
Yeah, it's they always say if you do something you love, you never work a day in your life. Even though I think we've learned
Oh, yeah.
that's not completely true,
No,
but
it's not.
that is
I'm
that
at the
is
beginning right now, yeah.
that is still you're always at least proud of what you created, in some
Yeah,
facet of a way. But Luke, I'm gonna let you take it away with the next one here,
yeah.
and then we'll
Yeah, sorry, Luke, we talk a lot, and he's like,
yeah.
"Well, I'm just"
Listen, when I embarked on this ride with Dylan, I realized what I was in for because
Okay,
I
we
cool.
just
talked
chat,
about it.
so
I love
Um,
it.
talking about that creative process there, and there's those different jumps from that initial idea to putting something down on paper, and then kind of getting the production ready, and then actually seeing it come to fruition, where it's like, okay, we have our actors, our songwriters, everything. What is in your creative process there, what would you say is like the most intriguing to you? What gets you most excited? Is it that initial idea, or is it, I mean, obviously, as everything wraps, it's one of those, you're so excited about it, but like,
Yeah.
what gets you going for that first? Is it that initial thought and what it could be?
I think it's the beginning and the end. As weird as that sounds, it's the initial idea with like most of the time. And again, I can't speak. I really can't speak for making a movie or doing anything outside of the fact of what I've been able to do, which is make silly content that goes viral with a hair more cinematography than your average. You know what I mean? Like, so I think the initial idea really gets you excited because you're like, damn, let me Google this, make sure somebody hasn't done it yet. Okay, we can't find anything. Like, and I say we, but it's generally me by myself. Just you know what I mean? Like, just getting pumped up about that. Then I'll call someone and go, hey, what do you do? Does this seem stupid? And sometimes it will, and other times it'll be like, bro, that's it. Like that's guaranteed to go viral. So I would say everything else that you mentioned, I'm really bad at. Um, I don't organize. I don't really find I literally just do it all right there, and I have expectations that I'm going to get it done within a week. That's just how because I'm so accustomed to doing some sports content, some this and that content for other companies, it's always this is a current event, and if you don't have it done within a day, it's going to be gone. And Slashstreet Boys didn't start that way, but a lot of things that I've done have kind of been that way. So, like, for example, I think one of the videos, it was a short and it was a quick video, the Spirit Halloween, where I sang a
yeah.
song and I was like, you know what? An idea of having Michael Myers with an emo wig is a genius idea. I was like, that's one of those beginning, you're excited. But instead, I'm like, I need to get it done today. I don't think like, let me organize my favorite singers. I'm right online going, all right, emo singers living in this area, or even go to Guitar Center. So like, I would do things where not in this specific project. I did hire a guy. It didn't work out because he was out of town. So he did a scratch track, and it was okay. It wasn't exactly what I was looking for, but I probably could have worked with him if he came to the studio. So I was like, you know what? Whatever. I wrote the song. I can just sing it myself. You know what I'm saying? Like if I wrote the lyrics, I'm like, I'd sing it fine, good enough. So funny enough, I don't really like my voice, but people were like, where can I buy this? I'm like, okay, chill out. It's not that good, but at least the comments were that, not what's this shitty voice.
Yeah.
So once I had that idea and I'm like, oh my God, like and it's sad, but the movie theater in Farallon closed. I'm like, where are buildings that don't have the signs on them? And where that idea came to fruition was I was driving past Bed Bath and Beyond, and you could still see the dirt marks of Bed Bath and Beyond on the front, but it was gonna be a Spirit Halloween because I
Yep.
was gonna go shop Spirit, and I'm like, oh my God, I got to do a video where it's like all about just putting Spirit Halloween in failing businesses. And that's always been an ongoing joke.
It
Someone would be
is.
like, how do I decorate this top weird spot? And they just put Spirit Halloween in it. Like, it's always been a joke on the internet. So, like, I think that's a good example of me being reinvigorated lately from what used to happen in the past, that I would literally not stop. Like, obviously, I take care of my family, I do my job. I would not stop once a video started. I think that's somewhat of can be a downfall for me because you spend more that way. You don't give people any time. It's more of the producer mindset. Like, I'm going to annoy the shit out of these people, message 15 singers, and get this done because I'm ready now. You know what I mean? So, like, I would say if I was more organized and did a lot of the things that you eloquently said, I would maybe be in a better spot. Maybe I wouldn't. Maybe that would hinder it because the idea would become stale halfway through. If it's a movie, you probably have to. If you're trying to do a movie like I do a 1-minute video, it's probably going to fail. But I would say for me, there's usually just a beginning and the end because everything in between is an absolute insanity. I'm steaming clothes by myself, fucking losing my mind. We're trying to run out the door to go to the shoot. I'm an hour and a half late because I got all the costumes and I won't hire somebody just to do that. And that's even now. Like, I'll be doing that Kiss Kill parody. I'm freaking getting all these costumes, loading up my minivan, throwing car seats into the driveway, and it's literally just a tornado. And I feel like when someone watched, I think the Kill video, the Kiss video was pretty well produced. I think that was a better one. But if people saw that it was just me with a company I just hired to bring in dry ice machines, and I'm just losing my mind going, the mask is undue. Like, it would blow your, like, it's insane. You've seen it. I mean, it was just me on the commercial you were in with me. You know what I mean? You were there for 4 hours just to hit somebody with a mop and say your lines, which was pivotal to the little script. But the idea was that morning and it was shot that night. And I think that even to this day, being like 4 or 5 years ago, that still looks good. I still think it looks better than your average like internet joke video.
I always think about that exterior shot and how that turned out. That was the last thing we shot, and just how like just cinematic it looked. It like, you were the first person honestly to ever make me consider, like, if I just add a little bit of like some mist or a fog to this, it adds so much depth to the lighting and everything. I had never considered that.
And bro, you should have seen me that day, not to interrupt you, but I'm literally like typing in Uber. Oh, well, we won't pick up fireworks because I had to drive like 2 hours to get, because the smoke machine won't work outside really. Like, it won't push enough. So I think we took like those smoke grenades and we hit them behind the pillars. But it was like nowhere near 4th of July. So there were none of these anywhere. So I had to like send someone to drive 2.5 hours to like, who even knows, some phantom fireworks that was open, all year long. But it's just stupid. But it was needed. It was necessary for the vibe.
Yep, and it worked too. And I just remember like a little inside baseball for anybody who's familiar with the video we're talking about is just us standing there at the end of it being like, you think the cops are going to show up? Because like there's so much smoke and we're just sitting there on a busy like shopping mall thing. It's like, I think we'll have to see what happens. But
it was fun.
Yes, and I think that's one of the rare things about being able to work with you firsthand and actually see, like you said, it can be chaos. It can be a tornado.
Yeah.
But I think that's also just that goes across so many people's like when in this space who do this stuff. It's like,
I think
especially
so too.
when you wear so many hats. And that is something I will say is that every time I work with you, it's like you are always the main guy wearing all the hats, because it's like you have the vision and you trust yourself, what you're going to do, and you'll definitely bring people in, you'll trust them, you'll do it, but you are always very much just like, I'm going to do this because I know that I can get this how I see it. And that's the true mark of a creative, because it's like you want to take on that responsibility, you want to take on the challenge and do it. And I think that's honestly a big reason why I think a lot of your videos became so successful. It's not just the concept, it's not just the viralness of it, it's the fact that people can really, I think, feel that when you watch it, that there is a tinge of just like, there's some love put into this, like not to be super cheesy,
and stupidity though, because people would like stop at a certain point and not keep spending money and time. But yes, and I appreciate that.
it's the passion of it. And that is going to make me kind of go to my next one
Yeah.
here. I think we kind of talked a little bit about that for my second question, but what is the project that you would say fulfilled you the most since you've been doing this? Like, is there one particular project that you think from start to finish that turned out exactly how I envisioned it?
Yeah, it's tough, man. It's really tough because there's bits and pieces of things that in my mind were perfection,
Mhm.
and there's bits and pieces of things that could have been better. Whether you know whether the situation of the shoot changed or whether I let someone take charge a little bit more, because it is a blessing and a curse sometimes being overbearing. And I wouldn't say micromanaging, but I would just say that I am very specific on things. But in my defense, 9 times out of 10, if I would have taken the other way, it wouldn't have worked. So
Mhm.
I have had opinionated people that have given me direction, and I didn't take, and I'm glad I didn't take. But I'm sure there's times that I don't remember that somebody that's maybe a creative inside like me, and I just kind of mulled it over, didn't do anything with it because I was so out of whack trying to get it done. But I mean, if there's a project that I've done, let me think about it real quick, because there's a few that come to mind, and honestly, some of them were like during crazy times in COVID, where like my kid
Oh yeah.
had COVID or whatever. So I actually there was a kid named Rami who was really cool, and Gabe, and I would kind of give them shooting abilities, and I would direct. I directed, I think, 2 of the videos over FaceTime. You know what I'm saying? Which was kind of crazy, but I wasn't able to be there, but I was still able to direct it, and they turned out good enough. I went and did a couple punch-in shots, but I mean, I think one that I saw through from start to finish that was really, really good, that I can continuously go back to is, I think, man, there's a couple. I think Slice Baby. If we're talking parodies specifically or videos that went viral the most, I think that was within budget, within reason. It looked very similar to the original video. The song obviously can never sound like Vanilla Ice, because if you're not singing, it's difficult. But it was a great collab, because there's a guy in Medina gas station encounters. If you guys have ever watched that channel, their gas station's like right across the street from the Thirsty Cowboy. And yeah, and I think the vocals worked out. It the video, I don't know, just the random things that came into it. Nick Malpagano killed the masks.
Oh yeah.
I can't really, I brought him the idea. He wasn't even a huge Vanilla Ice fan or really knew too much about him. But the fact that Vanilla Ice wanted a mask and he took a picture with one and all of that, it just came all together. That was really cool. The original artist liked it. There were no problems with that. The location was cool. The shots looked very retro. I met a really good dude that had I scoured. This is what I do, and I'm not trying to. I always blabble on.
You're good.
But from the moment of the video, I knew I had to get a Fox body Mustang drop top. It didn't have to be the exact same one, but I knew I had to get one. So always the first time I know I need a prop for a car, I go to Facebook Marketplace and see if anyone's selling one. Because if they're selling one for $5,000 or $10,000, they might take $800 or $500 for 6 or 7 hours or 5 hours. As long as we don't have to drive it, normally it's cool. To this day, he'll let me take any car, a Bentley, whatever, for nothing. He just gives me the keys and doesn't have to worry about insurance. He's super nice. His name is Bart. And he doesn't live too far away from me, but he's kept this car, which is cool. But yeah, so he brought out the Mustang, wasn't really sure what to expect, but I think that shot, just seeing Michael driving across the graffiti, using the walls at Akron Schoolhouse. I called one of my buddies there because I'm like, didn't somebody paint like Freddy Krueger and a whole bunch of stuff on the walls? And then if you noticed, I just found a building that had a white sidewall for the spray paint opening scene, and I just did all my research to find paint that looked like spray paint, but it wouldn't actually.
Stain.
So that was just someone else's building. Like, that's not even, that was in the middle. I just called the police department. I said, hey, I'm going to be in this parking lot. I'm going to spray paint the side of this building, but it's not real. So if you get a call, it's just for a quick little scene. And I have a spray hose thing that I'm going to take it all down when I'm done. So hitting that slice baby on the tag, again, it's just, a lot of people haven't seen the original video, but I love mimicking retro videos, and I think that did a good job with the green screen and with all the elements of the original. I think it did the song, the video, the mask, and the actors justice, and that's why I like it. That's why I would say it's one of my favorite start to finish projects, because I think the entire curation of it was very accurate. And there's more of those. I think Mama Said Knock You Out, Mama Said Chop You Now was really
That's a good
with
one.
the, and even explaining how I got that ring. I don't even need to get into that, but I think that Man in the Box, Kill Us with Attitudes, I think a lot of those that are later ones and not early really hit the mark on the original filming.
My favorite, I think, of yours has always been, and I was, we were working together around the time this one was being created, and I don't know, you just, when we would work together, there would be times when it's like you'll just be kind of, pitching or kind of talking, singing a little bit of, like, you're trying to put your parody together.
Yeah.
And like, I just remember this one, but it's easily Friends with No Faces.
I love
I think
that
when
one
you
too,
went to the
man.
slaughterhouse and everything, like that one, that I'm not a big country fan either, but that anytime that I hear that actual song, I'm literally singing your lyrics, because it's just like I always think about that video.
And that's one of my favorites, don't get me wrong. I don't think there's an original music video for that, so it was kind of hard for me to like choose that one. But Vaughn Leakin from the Chippewa Lake Slaughterhouse is one of the nicest dudes ever. I love using that. I try not to like use it too much, but Aaron from the Thirsty Cowboy. But again, dude, just like finding a dance group on the internet that will come out and bring all these people. I mean, dude, it just, thinking about those things gives me anxiety now, which I think goes back to Luke's question of why the end feels so much better. Because once the edit starts to come together, which I would consider the end, whether it blows up or not, when I feel confident to where like, even this doesn't blow up, I don't care. You know what I mean? Even if it doesn't make money, I don't care, because it feels like a timeless piece of content that can live on forever on the internet, which is even worse when something gets taken off the internet. Not to shout out my problems with Axl Rose and Guns N' Roses that have happened that I don't want to get into too much. But that was a video where I think working with this group I worked with, was one of my favorite songs that I made, and it's dead from the internet forever. Now there's just a shitty copy that somebody re-uploaded. But I thought that was a really, really good video, being outside of horror for me, bringing in The Mandalorian. And it was going to be the biggest video ever, 4 million views on YouTube in one day, probably going to go up to like 70 or 80 million. And it would have topped the Slashstreet Boys, I'll Kill You That Way. And that's my biggest, it just hurt. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I saw that when it first dropped. I think I actually saw that pop up on Facebook.
Yeah, it had a lot there too.
Yeah, and then that was one of those ones where I was just like, man, like you guys crushed this. So that was weird, because like doing more of my research, kind of going back down the rabbit hole, just starting from the bottom of your page up, just really going through the nostalgic take for me of just going over the last like 5-6 years of watching all your videos. It's just like, I knew there was one or two in there that I'm like, I remember there being a video about this, and that was one of them. But yeah, and then like I think that there's some that I really enjoyed, like To Catch a Predator was one that was just
that's
so
one of my
fucking
favorites,
funny, dude.
That's one of my favorites. It flopped like a fish, dude. Now that I think, I don't know if there can be, and again, not tooting my own horn, because there's a lot of people that worked on that with me, which there isn't normally a lot of people involved in the videos, but that one, like, there's a lot of actors. Jake did a really good job playing, Chad Hansen instead of Chris. But dude, I like put my heart and soul into watching so many episodes, making sure that like, Jesse Trillett helped me a little bit, because he's good and a lot better in After Effects than I am. I can pretty much recreate anything I need, but like some of those graphics we had to combine from the show and make them ourselves. So like, man, when that like tanked, and I knew it wasn't going to do crazy well, but I was like, dude, other than making the Predator a little bit bigger, like I feel like that was a really good representation of an actual episode.
I think that it definitely hit the mark on the head, because that's always been something that, like, even growing up in like middle school,
Yeah.
that was kind of a joke. Like, people
Yep.
would be like, oh, you got to put the predator into a catch a predator episode, and then
Exactly.
you brought it to life. It was like,
Yep. Because
it's one of those
Robot
things
Chicken
where,
did it first when
yeah.
I had never seen that until I researched it. But I try to research first just to kind of be kind to the people that might have had the idea first.
Mhm.
Be kind, or if I can really do it that much better. But like, in all honesty, I've never done an idea that was already done well in live action. Like, you know what I mean? Because I just don't feel like it's right to do, or it's a waste of time because it's already been done better or as good as you can make it.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I think it was the internet 15 years ago, it would have blown up a lot better, or 20 years ago. I think that's old internet humor.
And that's one of those things. I think you're right a little bit there. I think that, if you're of the generation that kind of grew up with To Catch a Predator and Dateline
Yeah,
being so big at its time, like, even then, like, that was kind of, I'm a bit younger for that, but that was
yeah,
still one of those things. Like, my parents, my grandparents, they would watch that stuff, even
yep,
if they were reruns. So it's like, I knew of the Chris Hansen stuff and everything. So it's like,
exactly.
you just got to be there. You got to kind of have that
And the way
nostalgic to it.
the way they shot it was just so ridiculous, dude. Like him coming behind the curtain, go, "What are you gonna do?" Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, you said you wanted to, you know what I mean? Like, he would just come out. Like, I'm
Why
like,
don't you have a
bro,
seat?
this is such, yeah, this is such a serious topic, and his acting was so ridiculous for what was going on. It was like, it was just, it was a perfect, like, serious and funny. And I think there's a couple dudes, like a couple prank guys that do them now. I can't remember the guy's name, but he'll come out in a cowboy or FBI outfit, and he'll
I've
like
seen that.
embarrass.
Yes. No,
Yeah,
I know
that
what you're talking
and
about
that
now.
dude's pretty funny. He's a little bit insensitive to certain groups of people. I don't think anyone on the internet should push their content to be, I don't care what you want to talk about, but I think whether you're political or whether you're not, I think alienating or being rude to any group of people is just not a good look for content. Some people feed
Mhm.
off of it. Some people dangle with it, but for me that's not it. But I think what he did was hilarious. You know what I mean? Like, he'd have a huge dude come out of the back and he's like, "This guy's going to give it to you right now so you know what prison's going to be like." And you're like, "What the fuck, man?"
Very
I mean,
shocking.
like, this dude's crazy. Like, he's taken To Catch a Predator. But again, the whole idea is to embarrass people that are
Mhm.
you can have whatever crazy things that you're into and that you like, but when it comes to innocent people, kids, or preying on somebody else, you deserve to be embarrassed and messed with. And that's why I never feel bad when I watch that dude's videos. I'm like, good, I'm glad he
Yes.
made this, guy that's running a whole school district feel bad about meeting a 16-year-old dude. It's like, yeah, he deserves it. I hope you embarrass the shit out. He'll make them call their wives.
Yeah.
Like, I won't call the police right now if you just call your wife and tell her what you just did.
And
I'm
that's
like,
such a
what the fuck?
and that's such a big thing. Like, we could talk about that for hours, because, like, so many people have gone and done that. But I want to throw the floor back over to Luke
My
here,
bad.
with
Sorry.
his question there. And then, yeah, so Luke, take it away there.
As you were talking about like Chris Hansen and To Catch a Predator and things like that, where you had mentioned earlier, the videos are funny and anyone can throw up a wacky video, but you look at a lot of things. Someone can take something very current on TikTok and throw it up, a little meme for a day, and it hits, and then it's all past. Everyone's forgotten about it. I think the charming thing about your content is that it is that timeless content where you're so ingrained in pop culture that you're not necessarily picking things that are timely. You're picking things that are timeless, where it's like, everyone can go back and still enjoy those things, even if they're not currently happening. So, what does that curation process look like for you? Where Dylan and I mean, studios kind of set out our content where we know what
Yeah.
our month is going to look like.
Yeah,
Whereas
yeah, yeah.
you're pulling from everything. So, is it just, and you have so many elements where it's like, you can have a catchy song, you can have a good idea, and you kind of have to try and meld those two together. Is it the idea of a song that gets you first, or is it just this concept that you try to put into a song that you enjoy?
All right, shit. Hold on. Let me try to break that down. Hold on. So I would say a great question. I like the way you lead into. I don't know how he took Chris Hansen and got into that beautiful question, but it worked out well.
He's good
So
with his words.
yeah, that was perfect, Luke. Thank you. He only says a few, but when he says them,
I
he's
make
on
them count.
point. Yeah. So give me a little bit of that first part of the question because there's 3 parts I want to answer. So did you have that written down or was it just off the dome?
Off the top of my head, but
Oh
it's
fuck.
more so like so because you're picking things that are not necessarily timely but more timeless.
Oh,
So
perfect. Okay, yeah, exactly. So I think I've actually lately kind of steered away from that, which I didn't like to do as much, and I don't want to be that guy, but you have to pay the bills. Like I still like the pieces, but like the guys air humping and reenacting a viral video of the Call Me Choco. You know what I mean? The air, but it gets way more views than anything else. So I started to I before it got huge. Like I love the Michael Myers of IG and TikTok, the Freddy Krueger of IG and TikTok. All those dudes are so nice. They send me nice messages where they look up to me. Michael Myers of IG starting to really make some better cinematic quality videos, and I'm much appreciative. But it's very convoluted now. It's very I don't even know if that's the right word. There's a lot of them now,
Yeah,
and
it's getting
I kind of came in late, and now I feel like that's all I'm doing. My son and I as Pennywise and Georgie doing silly stuff. I did it a couple times, then I did it more. I probably did it too much. But like I would much rather do a parody that's a hilarious song. Like my son and I, it could be Georgie and Pennywise doing Cypress Hill. What's the Cypress Hill song? The main one. It's
the when the shit goes down. Then
yeah,
there's
yeah,
also
yeah, but hold on. What's the main song where they're like we got to figure this out. What's the main Cypress Hill the man in the
is it
frying
insane in
pan?
the brain?
Yeah, so okay.
Insane in the
Okay,
Brain.
so
Yes, there you
listen,
go.
imagine that's a duo, right? Cypress Hill's a duo. So this is part of the timeless thing of anybody that knows Cypress Hill. But imagine if you did Chud and Pennywise doing Insane in the Sewer Drain, or you
Oh
did,
my
you
god.
know what I'm saying? You did Pennywise and Georgie, Insane in the Sewer Drain, insane. Like that. I mean, that shit would be insane.
Absolutely.
Sorry, that bad
I like it.
joke.
I'm
But
down.
so things of that nature, or just the two of us. You think back to how funny Michael Myers was. Yeah, Michael Myers, right?
Yep.
Michael Myers doing just the two of us with like mini me and like how amazing was that video? Is that Michael Myers?
I'm looking right now. I'm going back down to
Right,
double
the
check.
actor Michael
Yeah,
Myers.
yeah,
I'm
Mike
pretty
Yeah,
sure.
Myers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wayne's World. Okay,
Yep,
I
Mike
I was
Yes.
getting
Yeah.
confused because I do horror content with Michael Myers all the time. So okay,
And then Mike Myers. Yep.
Mike Myers. Okay, fuck. Mike Myers. Like you think about that's an amazing, like just the two of us, him and Mini Me, like that music video is fucking so awesome. So yeah, I used to think of songs first. I used to think of parodies, but every one of my ideas for the majority has been based on a pun. You know what I mean? Or is that even a pun where you do like, Friday the 13th or no, not I'm trying to think of a good pun that would be something that Nightmare at the Roxbury. You take Night at the
Oh yeah.
Roxbury and do Nightmare at the Roxbury. That's a pun, right?
Yeah. It could
That's
be
a
a
play
pun.
on
It
words.
could be a
Okay.
play on
Yeah.
words. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So I'm not trying to sound like a dumbass, but I'm not a writer. Like English is not my fucking main subject in school. None of it was because I just wanted to make stupid ass videos. But with that being said, when you think of a pun, and again, Nightmare at the Roxbury, I couldn't do it quite how I wanted to because I knew it wasn't going to do good enough. Like if I did a parody of What is Love, no one's going to give it. It's going to get 600,000 views to diehards, and then it's going to just waste $8,000 getting all the shit and making the video. So I'm like, all right, let me try to make a short. It performed okay, but I still go back to the stupid ass air humping, going into Spirit Halloween and doing something dumb. It's almost demotivating the content that does well. Parodies always did well, but the problem is parodies make $0 because if you don't get sync rights from the original artist, you technically can't do it. So, like, I had a great idea with doing Michael Jackson's Thriller and calling it Killer and having Michael Myers with his outfit on, Jerry curls on his head, and, cause I'm gonna kill her. Like that shit would be cool. But now I have to switch that up and decide if I want to make a whole choreographed dance and a new original song, which shout out David Hale. He's one of the musicians that I, like myself, love being a musician, but he's way better than me. He's a young guy. I helped blow up one of his songs. He has 1 million streams
Wow.
just now. David Hale, you guys should listen to him on any streaming platforms. But anyhow, we were going to make an original, like we were thinking about making an original. I've thought a lot of dumb things. Like I almost did a song, which is why I have the sloth mask from the Goonies. If you see back there, which is one of my favorite
Yep.
masks by Jess. I can't pronounce his last name. He was on the Inked Tattoo show. It's
Okay.
Jess
I get you.
Savaros or something. But anyways, he makes masks on the side, and he had this mask, and I was gonna do Justin Bieber's Baby, but do Baby Ruth.
Oh,
So-
see,
but
that's good, though.
but I didn't know how to like voice sloth without being offensive in some
Yeah.
ways, so I decided to script. Although it would have been hilarious to, it would have been hilarious to be like, my baby, baby Ruth. I mean, dude, that shit.
I love it.
But again, I don't. It probably wouldn't have gone that crazy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I also thought about doing a Bachelor episode where Sloth is finding a girl in a Superman suit. You know what I'm saying? Hey, you girls! Like,
There
could you
you go.
imagine it? But anyhow, I just love Sloth though. But you also have to like pull back. So when you say, is there anything that makes it timeless or not? I would say, or how do you make something timeless? I think something timeless would be just taking an idea from the 80s or 90s, mixing it with a character from those eras, or meshing a few. We wrote a whole song and never dropped it for, and it actually would have worked out really well, but it was a song for Hopper and Stranger Things, and it was like I had a jail cell, and we didn't do Folsom prison blues, we did Russian prison blues, how we stuck in a Russian prison, and all that kind of stuff. So again, I think a lot of that's not, it could be timeless. I don't know if Stranger Things will be timeless or not, but yes, there are an infinite amount of parodies I could come up with, and I have a list of them, like the Slice Girls, all these different ideas that would work with a retro song and be perfect. I also recorded, I'm not trying to get off a tangent, but I also recorded Sweet Dreams parody of the Eurythmics, and I had Freddie do Teen Dreams.
Okay.
It's like teen dreams are made of screams.
I love that.
Traveling the world through my sweater seams, or children's dreams. So when you change your voice, you can't do pitches. But so it's gonna sound like shit. But basically, the answer to your question is yes. If your question was, is there like a correlation between something being nostalgic and timeless, or how do you make timeless content? I would say you take timeless pop culture. That's really all you do, and it's kind of cheating, which is why I always tell people, I'm like, yes, I was consistent, but I also, parody is going into something where if you take two things that are already popular, they have a lot better of a pogo stick to shoot themselves into the sky than wearing tennis shoes. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
or
no, I
you
get
could be
you.
wearing the 90s moon shoes, and that might, elevate
you
you
up
to
there.
that too. Yeah, exactly.
I love it. And
Sorry, I turned it into a 46-minute answer. I apologize.
you're good. No, that actually wrapped everything up nicely. I liked getting the little insight into stuff that we haven't seen, or maybe just haven't, or won't see, or haven't seen yet. So
Yeah,
but,
they're all on Patreon, just so you know. All the
Oh.
unreleased songs are on Patreon. I know that was something I was trying to tie into this interview at the end, that I really haven't been out there for all my great supporters and doing very much, because I'm trying to figure out what I want to do. But sorry. My bad.
Oh, you're good. No, and actually, I kind of want to stick to that path and kind of wind into that, because a big portion of this that I think a lot of people, when you're talking to somebody who has a channel as big as yours, a lot of people just kind of want to know, like, some of the, I guess, dirty little secrets of YouTube. What is it that kind of, maybe we need to look forward to, or at least be warned about? Like, what are some of the things you've learned? So when I am kind of sitting here going over these, I think like one of the things that I want to know is YouTube's been changing like crazy. Many of the larger creators have been kind of hopping off of the platform, even just this year. And, when it comes to them kind of pushing away from long form content or more produced content, going into shorts content, How has that affected like your output? How has that affected just your motivation, or even just like the way that you see the future of the Merkins channel?
Yeah, so that's a great question too. I appreciate it, Dylan. I mean, that's a great question. The thing for me is, um, money is a very, very important thing once you get past a certain threshold. I think without money, you can grow a channel. I don't know. I mean, I feel like growing to 100,000, you can have enough motivation without making very much money to get there.
Mhm.
I don't know how it would work with the content that you guys make. I know that the more you jump on a fast topic, if you have it out before somebody else, that can be very quick. That can be very helpful. If you don't, it can be very slow.
Yep.
And again, it all bases on changing your life, putting it before your life. And can you put something before the important aspects of your life without making money? And I think that's why I hit you up. I'm like, I love the fact that you guys are being consistent, even if you get 2,000 views or 25 views, because the thing is, most people cannot pass that.
Mhm.
They cannot get past the fact that they keep telling themselves, I'm doing this for no audience. I'm doing this for nothing. Well, myself and everyone else did it for nothing at one point. And you're doing it because you love it. And as the views come, it gets more exciting. But ultimately they're coming back because they like what you're doing, and it does make you feel good. It is a confidence booster. It does make you feel successful, make you feel more important than your day job every day. And I'm sure you guys have little pockets of that. Not minimizing anything that you've done. You're
Oh
just
yeah.
at a point where I used to be at. I mean, it's
Mhm.
everybody is there at one point. And one thing that I didn't like is, to somewhat answer the question as well, is you don't really get help. You know what I mean? It's not like you can just, even though they see the email, a lot of people say they don't. If you're asking somebody for help, they can choose to ignore it or not. You know, you're the type of person that you DM them, you'd hit them on Twitter, you'd email them, you do all the things you need to do. And there's people that will choose to ignore it. That could be for their own, self-preservation and keeping themselves from not getting down in the dumps and focusing on what they're doing. I just know how difficult it was for me with knowing nothing, that I'm happy that there weren't very many, but I'm glad I at least had a couple people eventually that would give me some sort of tidbits of information or let me know that we're all living the same thing and the same problems. And I think a lot of the problems for me, which will happen for you in video footage when you review things, is I would deal with copyrights a lot.
Mhm.
And when you deal with copyrights, it puts a damper on things. It gets claimed, you don't make money. So I think, and you were asking me kind of what the struggles are and how you get to a certain point, right?
Mhm. Yes.
So I mean, I think that was the hardest part for me, is you're in this you're trying to build a channel and you're in this unknown area. Why am I getting demonetized? Why did this happen? Why did that happen? And I don't even think YouTube knows. I don't think TikTok knows. I think community standards change every day. I think they're not trying to ban every piece of content, but it happens. I mean, I get most of my content ripped off and it goes viral on somebody else's page, especially with shorts, before mine. So that gets me back to the main question and point is, how do I feel about the way YouTube's changing, people leaving, and shorts? Here's the thing, YouTube has to do what they have to do. They have to beat out TikTok, which I think YouTube does way better a job with community standards than TikTok does.
Yeah.
TikTok is an absolute joke. I hate it. I can't stand it. I grew to almost 1 million followers within a few months by putting some videos that I curated specifically for TikTok, but they don't like fake weapons. They don't like horror. I don't know what they like, to be honest with you. I haven't been able to figure it out. But one thing that shorts did for me was kind of stop me from quitting.
Mm.
And I say that because I was stuck at 500,000 followers for a long time. I was stuck between 100 and 500,000 for probably 3 years of work. Didn't know what to do. Shit, I was dealing with copyrights. I was dealing with this and that. and I didn't know any of the answers. I still don't know them all. I mean, it's super tough. Thank God I have dudes like Aaron Fraser Nash. Shout out to his amazing parody pop culture songs. He's one of the nicest dudes as well. We watched a movie. Just some of the creators that have dealt with the same issues. Vincent DeSanti doing the Friday the 13th fan films and going, oh, well, some of the people that were in it like it. Oh, some people are going to be in it. Like Tom Matthews is going to be in it. It gives you hope. Some of the things that gave me hope during those periods as well is, Nikki Sixx from Motley Crue, after getting copyright strikes and taking things off the internet, he reposted it and said, I love this. I think it's funny. That was really cool.
Yeah.
Nuno Betancourt from Extreme reposted the More Than Words parody, which, I have some qualms with how I filmed that. I would have done it differently now. The gentleman, I can't remember his name, that filmed the Man in the Box music video for Alice in Chains, told me he thought it was a cinematic, it was a great tribute to him, that the cinematic qualities were the same way that he filmed the video back in the day, and he posted on Twitter. There's more things of that. That's what kind of kept me going. But what kept me going past that were shorts. I can't lie. Everybody hated on shorts. They don't make you shit for money. I got 57 million views on a short, and I've probably made $1,200 off 50 million views. I mean, that's really bad because the video probably cost more than $1,200 to make. But shorts were able to push me from 500,000 to 1 million. And what 1 million did was just made me feel somewhat successful without the monetary gain. I think there aren't that many gold play buttons out there, and by the time I got a gold play button, I was by myself. So my partner had quit like 3 years ago. He quit. I didn't have anyone else in the Merkins other than myself and Nate Vale, who, I use the studio at the Rialto. But as many times as I've tried to get Nate, no offense to him, he has things going on in his life. He owns a venue, owns a bar with his brother Seth, is I couldn't get him to be independent on doing things himself. And I didn't feel comfortable moving forward with anybody that wasn't going to be independent themselves, because you have to be, otherwise you don't make any progress. If I wasn't independent and didn't see a video through, it would never see the light of day. And honestly, trying to get a video done sometimes is I've never been in one, but if you're in a Tough Mudder and you want to quit and you're crawling through shit and your heart's beating 1 million and you don't want to work out, you don't want to get in shape, you don't want to eat healthy foods, if I could compare it, it would be as hard as that. It really would. You're fighting against yourself, continuing something. And I think that when I started taking old content and creating shorter, cheaper content, it forced me to understand that I can grow the channel with 15 seconds. That Pennywise video with my son where I dress up as Pennywise, it's nice and raining outside, I'm on my own street, and he's sitting there and I pop his balloon. I mean, that 60 million views probably gave me 100,000 subscribers off one short.
It's amazing.
I mean, that's great. I mean, that's for somebody like you guys. If you're 7 months from now, you're like, we have 4,000 subs or we have 8,000 subs and all we've wanted to do is hit 1 million, or we don't want to keep doing this if we don't hit 20,000. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That one short could push you past that. You know what I'm saying? So I even advise you guys to do shorts. If you're doing something on that Mickey Mouse that's trending or this is trending, I know we hate on somebody that just takes a random video and sits on green screen app and just records themselves going, wow, oh man. But can we really hate on them? I mean, maybe they're just trying to do that grotesque shit in our minds that we hate to get to do something that they want. Maybe they don't want 20 people to see a new song that they released. And that's why I applaud TikTok. I applaud YouTube Shorts. There's musicians that probably struggled for 10 years. They could have been close to suicide. They could have been close to quitting. They could have close to losing it all. And that TikTok made people listen to their music before any record label would after they drained them, or any, going out and playing shows and having 20 people tell you how much they love you, but no one shows up. They're down in the dumps. And then you have a TikTok that blows up with your song on it, or it's you playing the acoustic guitar, or it's you doing anything. Even if it's you eating hot Takis and pouring hot sauce in your mouth, but then 6 months later you release your first song to that audience and you hope that they grow with it. You built the audience by putting fucking hot Takis in your mouth. Like,
Yeah.
I don't disrespect, other than ripping people's. I hate that. Other than because there's so many TikToks that have created pages by just downloading and uploading my TikToks, the exact same video with nothing changed. I don't care. Other than that, I think people should be able to, whatever they need to do to build a following to get their message out is fine. Who cares if it's oh, well, that's not how you're supposed to do it. Who gives a fuck? That's like people saying, well, you only are big because you made an OnlyFans. Okay, well, you're just judging the girl for doing that. If that's what she wants to do and she doesn't have any problem with doing that, then it's none of your business. Let her do what she needs to do.
Yeah, I mean, that's very profound. Like, honestly, like, I love that answer in its entirety, because it's like, it does really kind of dissect, I think, that the duality and the dichotomy between, like, am I going to make something that is just going to rake in the views and do this so that way I can build my audience and get my name out there? Because that's the thing that I think we've experienced thus far. And like, we're getting to this point in our journey where it's like, you got to do some of this content that is going to go viral, even if it's not the stuff you're passionate about, because you got to get your name out there. But you got to hope that those people will come back and see your quality and see the content that you have. So it's like, you kind of have to play the game a little bit, and you got to be all right with that.
You do. And the thing is, like, any big YouTuber that's already making their monthly income and not worrying about bills, they can easily say that YouTube Shorts, if that's why they left, is just becoming TikTok, or what. They can have whatever complaints they want because they've already done it, but they still have to remember that at a certain point in time, Mr. Beast was counting Logan Paul's name 100,000 times to make a video. I mean, and now he's recreating Squid Games with $2.5 million. I mean, think about that. So if he's not going to be the type to say that, but anybody that's bashing that, oh, I don't like reaction channels because they're just doing, I don't like it doesn't. At a certain point in time, there's not many people that can say that they started from nothing. I didn't start from nothing. I make fucking parodies. That's about as riding on the fucking coattail of somebody successful as anything else. Did I have the skills to make the video, produce the song, and things of that nature? Sure, but so could other people. I mean, somebody might have skills on how to eat hot shit. I don't. My fucking esophagus would blow up. If they want to eat hot shit, if they want to buy a hydraulic press and squish gummies or squish hot dogs and put it in slow motion, and that's how they get their views, fuck it. I don't have a hydraulic machine. I mean,
I've watched too many of those damn videos.
Yeah,
so I'm not gonna lie. Like, dude, I just like seeing them crush stuff.
Yeah, I mean, my kids watch car tires go over bottles of toothpaste. I mean, but again, what's the difference? You know what I mean? Like the dude that does Blippi. I heard he's a good musician. Well, maybe he got sick of no one hearing his fucking music and decided to curate a costume that was not copywritten and make kids content. Maybe he's a good dude. Who knows? But I can't judge him. You know what I mean? He's successful,
Absolutely.
but that also brings up, I think, a bigger problem within that is when you're a creator like you or me or Womp Stomp Films or any of these people, when you ask anyone for anything, they're so fast to call you an eBayer. They're so fast to act like they're already making $1 million. They got 1 million subscribers. What? First off, there's no they. Okay, that's step one, because I subcontract my actors and I play Freddy myself and do many other things. Two, I mean, how do you know that anyone's making $1 million? Social Blade says I make between $800 something and like $27,000 a month based on my views, right? Well, here's the fucking cap. $27,000 I'd make if I owned every one of my fucking videos. I barely own any of them because I don't fuck with the copyright claims. I make like the $827 a month if I did nothing. if I did nothing. And people, you know what I mean? They think, oh, we probably fall somewhere in between. No, I fucking don't. I make like $900 a month if I was to do nothing. And that's only, you know, maybe during October it goes up to 2,000. But I mean, what, you know what like that doesn't do anything. Like people don't understand how, you know, how much gear costs, how much costumes cost, how much masks cost, how much of things that make it next level. And if I had a problem with YouTube, my main problem would be that they take way too much of donations during live streams. 34% is absolutely sickening to me. The fact that I built this many followers on a platform that does that is fucked.
And they want to, you know, directly contribute, and YouTube still takes their cut.
Oh,
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people.
It's absolutely fucked. I mean,
Yeah.
34% of people's hard-earned money that they're donating to get a video made, or they're donating because they know the struggles that I go through, or they're not the ones that are just quickly to judge and say, why would you give money to a dude already making too much money? It just doesn't, it just doesn't work that way, and it's frustrating.
No, I get that, and I love that you're sharing the insight to it, because it's like I think that will hopefully give some perspective to people who, you know, are, you know, curious just about, like, you know, like, how much do you take home from this? Like, you got 1 million
Yeah.
subs, you got all this. It's like, but the fact of the matter is that, you know, you have so many other obstacles and so many things that go into it, that it's like, the end of the day, it's like you are still doing this because you're passionate, and you're still doing it because you love it. But it is one of those things where it's like, if this is going to continue, something's got to give, you know, something's got to be able to make it move.
And don't let, like, one of my main things too is, don't, like, 10 years ago I might have said, you got to give up whatever you got to do, you got to do this, you got to just do it full time, you got to just go at it. And the main but none of that's really true. The main thing is, if you're consistent on something, eventually it will gain a following. Well, like, parodies may gain a bigger following. I don't know the answer to what gets you the bigger following, but if you're consistent, you will grow a fan base. And that's what most people can't, you know, get past, is just being consistent. But nowadays, I wouldn't say don't spend time with your kids this extra day because you got to make a YouTube content. You got to do this because, you know what? If I worked at McDonald's as a part-time job for the last 5 years, I would have made more money than I did on YouTube in 5 years. So if you're out there and you're sad that you're going to McDonald's, or you're working a job that you hate, or you didn't go to college, or you did go to college, and you're looking up to me going, wow, I wish I would have done that. It's not like that. That's not how it works. If you're working at McDonald's and you're putting in 40 hours, 50 hours a week, and you're making good money, whether it's 25,000 or 60,000 being the manager, or whatever you're making, you're being successful. You should be proud of what you're doing, because the majority of the people won't fucking get up and go to a job every day. They won't donate to a YouTube channel with their hard-earned money. They won't want to see somebody else succeed because they're too busy bitching that they didn't make it, or that, oh, that I could have made a parody. And I did the same things in the beginning. Like, when I was getting frustrated, I'd be like, man, why didn't I do what Dead Meat did? Why didn't I just sit and talk, or stand and talk with one backdrop and not 20 different backdrops? But in all honesty, there's a shitload of writing that goes into his stuff. There's a shitload of comedic humor. He's got the look for it. He has the curation of his channel. He has the consistency. So those are all things to praise just as much as anything else. And I think the longer I do it, the more I'm respectful for even somebody turning on a camera daily and making something and putting it out there.
No, absolutely.
Or putting on a fucking name tag and going to McDonald's. And I don't say McDonald's as being the bottom of the barrel. I'm actually trying to do the opposite. That if you're doing that, I consider that just as good as being a top end creator, because you're fucking doing something consistently every day. It would have been more profitable than what I've done in 5 years, looking like I'm on top of the world.
It's amazing. I mean, like, it is one of those things that, like, I think that just many people don't see that side. And Luke, I want to give you the floor here, and then I got one more question after you.
Yeah, sorry for rambling again.
No, that was great. That was honestly so insightful.
All right, cool.
And yeah, you just you mentioned consistency quite a bit there, and I was just curious, as I said, me and Dylan kind of the studios kind of make our schedules. We know what our week's going to look like, or our next week, in terms of content creation. Now with you, since you are kind of, pulling out of thin air of what does intrigue you, how do you stay consistent? Is that something where you sit down and you think, I have to come up with X amount of ideas and see what path I'm going to go down? Or is it just kind of, you're sitting there, the mood strikes, and you're like, let me write this idea down and I'm going to see if this takes me anywhere, and that's how it comes to you? Or do you kind of have that, I'm going to have an hour to dedicate to the channel and see what I can come up with, because I haven't put out a video in X amount of weeks, so I have to get another one out?
Yeah, 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 and that's a great question, but I'm still figuring it out. I don't, 5 years later, I'm still figuring it out. I'm doing it right now. Like, I was gonna live stream last night. I'm like, well, I haven't live streamed in like almost 30 days, but I also have made $650 on YouTube this month, which that won't keep anything going, and it's delayed a month, so you don't see the money till the 22nd of the next month. And I haven't made any content since the Slashstreet Boys video in December. And I'm burnt out on shorts because I think I'm just being every other content creator. I'm depressed about it. I'm sad about it. I don't really know what I want to do. I've been trying to talk to different people. I even talked to you guys before this on a few ideas that you had, gave you a couple ideas that I'm thinking of, and I don't really know. And that's the hardest part, because I don't even make enough money to take a break. So I'm in between creating a new channel that has nothing to do with this. I mean, I would be up to selling the channel for the right price. It's crazy. I mean, I don't, to think all the work I put in. If somebody said, "Hey, I'll buy this channel for $500,000," like, I might just do it. Like, I might just do it. I don't even know if that's feasible or possible. But I don't really know what I'm doing. So I'm trying to write down ideas. I've been talking pranks. I tried original songs. I tried silly TikToks. I'm trying to think of some long form content ideas, whether they're more boring or they're comedic or whatever. But I have list upon list upon list, and I don't know. I don't think it comes to me setting down aside time. I think I'm hectic. It's chaotic right now. I don't really know what to do, and I can barely force myself to make a list right now. like I don't even like to go live. I like hanging out with the people that support the channel. That's not the problem. Is I feel like if I accept money and go live, it's not good enough that they're just hanging out with me to pay, that I have to be making something. Like, it's constantly like, what am I doing for them? But I never worry about, well, what am I getting for the work I've put in? It's the hardest thing to try to put a value on your own time and mental health. And if I was so far off the mental deep end, I wouldn't worry myself with the channel. Like, obviously mental health is way more important. Everybody should feel that way. But it does really take a toll on you, and it's not as easy for me. Like, when it comes to the creative process, and not, you guys are run by the, your content comes by the studios, so you kind of have to follow that. But at the same token, you can also, if you aren't as prepared, you can be loose with it. You know what I mean? Like, your video doesn't have to be as scripted unless you want it to be, if you have the time.
Yep.
Otherwise, it's your opinion, or you're taking it. And sometimes if I was doing reviews, I'd look at the top dude's review that gets it earlier than everybody to catch a vibe first, because I wouldn't want to be totally, like, everybody would say, I want my honest opinion. I wouldn't. I would be kind of looking at what everybody's opinions kind of been like as a whole, and take what I felt off of my first. And if I decided it was better to go against the grain, I would. If I felt like it was. So I don't think I would be a good person for what you guys do. Maybe people do that. I'm sure they do. But
you can definitely tell there are, yeah.
If I felt in between after watching a movie, I would watch someone else's review first before I went hard one way or one the other.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because sometimes you're in between when you watch a movie. If that makes sense. I don't know where I was even going with what I was saying, or if there was even a question. But yeah.
No, I mean, I think you got it. It definitely, it opens the door to just kind of what it is that makes that consistency for you. And I get it. Like, I mean, it's definitely something that Luke and I have tried to this year, especially because now it's like we're going into our second full year of doing this, and like we're trying to be a little bit more we're trying to write down a little bit more about our reviews, because before it was flip on the camera and just talk.
Yeah.
And now we want to bring our run times down a little bit. We don't want to talk for 30 minutes about a one movie where
Yeah.
it's like I'm circling the same 5 points, and Luke's giving his points, and then that's it. We want to spend more time doing things like this where we talk to creatives and people who are so successful, and just being able to kind of get their side and their story. And like that's something that we've even had to kind of face and kind of look at. And I think that that's very telling also on your end, of the fact of just being like, those are what's going through your head. And again, you said that like earlier that it's kind of nice to have people like of all different sizes, of all different followings, who are able to you're able to relate to them. You're able to say like, hey, I get it. Like, I'm in the same boat as you. Like, I have these same thoughts. I have these same struggles. Like, I get really down on myself when a video doesn't perform well. And I'm talking about, damn, we've gotten 25 views in 2 days versus you, it gets like, 100,000 views in 2 days. But it's like, it's still the same feeling. It's still the same thing,
It's still the same feeling. And if you're not mentally sound before you do it, it doesn't matter what the jump in numbers is. One got 1,200, one got 100. You're bummed out that one got 1,200 and the other 100 didn't get 1,200. And you can put your finger on it to an extent, but again, nowadays, a lot of the complaints that people have, it's algorithm based. I mean, you could feel like you have the greatest thing, but if you're shadow banned on TikTok, or if you're having an issue on your Facebook or your YouTube, it could change that completely. But it also changes your mental stability.
Puts you through the ringer.
Yeah, it does. And I think that, like you said, talking to people about it, or giving advice, or just knowing that other people deal with the same things does make you feel better, because you're kind of not alone in that process, whether it's 1 million to 100,000 or 1,200 to 100. It's all relative, man.
Absolutely. And so kind of getting into the final question here. Now, this is the one that we've kind of teed up a little bit. We hinted towards it, but I want to know, just like, in a nutshell, I know you said you kind of got a lot of ideas and you got some things going, but where do you see the Merkins channel going in 2024 here? Like, what do you think, is next for you?
So kind of my way to see if I can get some of my followers to watch this video by saying the information is kind of at the end, is that currently I really don't know. I'd love to see it in a, cash flow positive, living wages positive, original content in the future. That'd be great to have fun with the following, make fun content, use some of the characters, interweave with the great horror community, both actors and fans, and continue the Merkins family, into the next level, to where it can be a self-sufficient operating system. You know what I mean? Have fun with people, have fun with horror, have fun with pop culture, parodies, joke videos, and not worry about money constantly. And whether that's me budgeting my expenses better, making the quality a little bit lower, making the shoot days less, not breaking something, hiring somebody less, hiring more people, and paying them to make longer form content, whatever those things are, that's my goal. I think I'm going to try in the middle of the year, the beginning of the year, to focus on Patreon more, and really giving. I'm hoping there's 1,000 out of 1 million that would love to support me on Patreon. If I could break off 1,000 out of 1 million, give them the content exclusively. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. It's paywalling. It's blah, blah, blah. It's e-begging, whatever you assholes out there that are going to tell me like, oh, that's bullshit. Well, life ain't free, bitch. Anyhow, that was a shout out to Freddie for the bitch.
I love it.
But anyhow, I would say that focusing on Patreon and trying to force myself to not be excited about a piece of content and holding it back for Halloween where it will do better numbers and just amping up that time period. So maybe doing exclusive content on Patreon for, until maybe August, and then ramping up, when Spirit Halloween starts to open, start putting out public content. And whether I work something out on Patreon where they see it early to pay and I still get to put it out, or I don't get to put it out. Maybe Slashstreet Boys from now on is going to be once a year Patreon exclusive. It doesn't do that well for the general public, but there's a lot of people that want it. So if they want it, maybe they'll pay $5, and maybe that will triple my cost of the video, and I can actually pay myself even fucking $9 an hour to do a video, which I should be getting paid $200 an hour for all the gear and equipment I'm using and that I own. But I'm not worried about that. I would just love to be in the positive so that I don't get so down on myself that I'm spending time, away from things late at night and putting that effort in for nothing, because nobody wants to put their effort in for nothing. Having somebody that likes what you're doing and says kind things to you only goes so far. That's great, but you don't want to worry about your next bill while I could be spending my time being a freelance videographer again and make a certain amount of money and not a YouTuber. So that's the balance. I think in 2024, I'm going to find out if I'm going to be a freelance videographer and DP for the rest of my workable days, or if I'm going to be a content creator. And I think that's what 2024 is going to do. So it's either going to go my way, which having fun making content, or I'm going to go back to working to be able to make my life a little bit easier to manage, if that makes sense. Because
it does.
You can't spend more than you make or more than you don't make forever. It's just not possible. So join the Patreon. Maybe I'll give them a link if they will.
Absolutely. I'll throw it up right here so they can see it. It's right over your head right now. So
the tiers are probably going to change, or some will be added to and all those things, but that may be a spot that I'm trying to hone in on and focus on the ones that have really had my back, and do live streams there, do things there, instead of giving YouTube 50% of the nothing I'm making. If that makes sense, because people donate to it. It sucks even worse to know that people's hard-earned money is going to a portion to YouTube, who's just hosting the shit, or Google. I know hosting the shit costs a lot of money, but 34% seems ridiculous. I mean, when someone like Patreon takes like 4% or whatever, I don't know the exact numbers, or whatever Twitch takes, but 34% seems outrageous for someone that says, hey, here's $100. I loved your new video. And they literally get $34.
Yeah, and considering you got to also factor how many channels are monetized, how many people are you getting. So it's like, 34% of that entire ocean of people. That's a lot of money. That's a good chunk.
I mean, I could total mine up for 5 years and it'd be way more money than I ever made. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy to think about. So yes, in all of that kind of closing thing to your question or whatever you have is, follow on Patreon right now to kind of figure out what the future holds. And you can follow Patreon, I think, for free or $1 even. But that's kind of where I'm trying to figure out, is that where I want to stay when horror isn't super popular. Maybe I could do some stuff outside of horror on the main channel, but I've got to make enough money to make those videos. The days of me charging a card $10,000 to make a video that I hope I make $12,000 on are over. I'm paying my cards off. I'm getting them done with, and I'm starting a cash flow positive business and not basically breaking even or being below breaking even anymore. I have taken enough risks and I have put in enough into it that I don't need to do anymore.
So. I get it. And it's one of those things where I know there will probably be people in here who are going to be haters and be saying stuff like, oh wow, he's selling it. It's like, it's not about that. It is, again, like you said, you've put in your time, you've put in everything, and it's not necessarily the fans, it's not the people, it is the system itself that we all have to adhere ourselves to with YouTube and just
or it's my fault.
monetization.
Or it's my fault that I went into parody, something that I didn't realize that I didn't own. I mean, it could be just as much my fault. I went into something that wasn't the right idea to go into to get sponsors or to make. So, I mean, it could be, wham, I'm crying, but I'm just being honest on my situation. And people say, well, look at all the shit you got in the background. Well, other than the 3 life-size figures, I'm pretty sure everything else was a prop or meant to be a prop.
Yep.
And I like the life-size figures because I thought they were cool. I thought they made the background look cool. And back then I didn't realize the shit you have in the background doesn't really push your content forward.
Hey,
but it also does in some way, because when people have nice, consistent backgrounds, it can propel things. So it's a double-edged sword. But yeah, this all was pretty much bought or used for a video with all the amazing supporters or my credit card. And I've just kept it because I just don't. I'm like, well, what if I want to do another video with it? Then I'm going to have to buy another one. It takes 12 months to do it. James Darkride, who makes the Freddy's mask, shout out to him. I can't just hit him up and he'll make it in a week. I mean, that shit takes 10, 12, 15 weeks if he even answers, because we're all artists dealing with our own shit.
Yeah, and I think that's something that it does go to show, just like how far you've come. I mean, you got to look at it like this. It's like the background in and of itself. It is a testament to how many videos you've made, how you've grown this channel,
a
things like
clusterfuck.
that. It's
an organized clusterfuck.
I think you're a little harsh on yourself personally, but I think that you've contributed so much to the horror community and the YouTube community. I mean, like I'm not just gonna sit here and toot your own horn and stuff for you, but I'm gonna say that, like, I think that there is a lot of value in those videos, and it is something that I think it is about that time that you stop taking all those risks and stop putting yourself through the mental anguish. And I think that's where a lot of bigger YouTubers are. And I mean, on the small side of things, like Luke and I, like, a little inside baseball for us, it's like we're always in the negative. We have to pay for StreamYard, we have to pay for Adobe, we have to pay for all these other things. So
you better be writing it off.
Yeah, I'm learning about it.
Make an LLC and write it off now, though. But yeah, sorry, go ahead.
You're good. But we're right now, it's like, since we started this, we've been in the negative the whole time, but we're doing it because we love it and we love working with you guys. And I know that's where your heart's been the last 5-6 years. You do it because you love the audience, you love the people who support it, and I think that it's about time that you kind of get your just desserts and you get to actually make some content and not put yourself on that line of being like, well, shit, I'm about to lose, $10,000 on this job. Like, you want to actually just be able to be comfortable, live your life, and be like, I can at least say, and you're not saying you're a millionaire, but you're at least saying, like, you're at least saying, I can go home tonight and not stress that I just lost all this money because YouTube decided to demonetize this video. And that's all you're looking for. That's all anybody wants. Yeah,
exactly. You want to be, and if it grows bigger than that, well, hopefully you give back to as much as you take, and that, you know what I mean. And that's why I don't know, man. I don't get mad at any of them. I don't get mad at Jeff Bezos. I don't get mad at, this person or that person. It's like, all right, well, Jeff Bezos probably had people laughing at him in the 90s when he said he was going to do one-day shipping, and now he's got fucking hundreds of millions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars. I mean, I don't know anything about society and taxes and all that, really, but I can say this much. I mean, I didn't create Amazon in my garage. I didn't create Apple in my garage. I didn't learn the technology. I didn't learn how to sell it. I didn't learn how to do it. They did. So, I mean, yeah, I'm sure there were some casualties of hurt feelings and people being left out along the way. But again, they did it. That's the highest scale, but they did it. I didn't create Facebook in my dorm room. I didn't, you know what I'm saying? Like, they did. So who am I to say, oh, Mark Zuckerberg just some asshole, puts community guidelines of fucking people. That motherfucker's not doing anything because he's just trying to keep his head above water because it's probably crazy. You got bots on Facebook. You got people trying to, I mean, they're probably dealing with as many issues that just magnify as they get up. So if he wants to surf in Hawaii with some fucking suntan lotion on and holler at his lady, you go right ahead, man. You enjoy life. You know what I mean? Because that's stress. All of it's stress.
Alrighty, well, I think that's going to be a great wrapping up point for us.
Hey, when I do interviews, I always make a song. So I got to make a Splattercast song here. I don't know what it's going to be like. It could be bad. It could be decent, but we'll try to make it happen real quick.
slash your ass, you will splatter cash. Gonna 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 slash your ass. You will splatter cash, gonna slash your ass. You will splatter cash, gonna slash your ass. You will splatter cash, gonna splash your ass. Gonna splatter cash. Yeah, we got Dylan and Luke kicking in the zone. Yeah, they gonna take your cut off your bones. Gonna do the hard shit, gonna do it live. Cause Splattercast kick it every day they live. Splattercast, gonna slash your ass. 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 Splattercast, gonna slash your ass.
Holy shit,
Hey man,
bro.
there's random shit. Don't use that. That was trash. But I just
No,
like to
dude,
get
you
the
gotta
little
let me use
little
that.
little end thing there, man. But yeah, I appreciate you guys, man. I'm glad to see you going all out on creating the content, man, and taking shit forward, man. Not too many people can continuously make content, and I'm glad to see you guys have been going strong.
And there you have it, folks. Thank you again to the Merkins, Roy Burns, for joining us on this interview. I mean, really just some fascinating nuggets in there. Honestly, I think that was the big takeaway that got me super excited about this interview was I never knew how this was going to go when he had hit us up long back when we were kind of still in our infancy. You know, he was just being supportive, being a friend, and saying, "Yeah, we got to collaborate at some point." And you know, I was definitely down. I'm always down to collaborate, especially with good people. But you know, when we kind of touched on it this time, when we really got around to this, and he said, "I want to dive into a little bit more about my experience as a YouTuber and just kind of, you know, what are some of the obstacles that I've faced and." Really just what are some of the harsh realities and harsh truths of you know just doing something that kind of glides against the grain of copyright and parody law and all the obstacles you have to face with that. And it was just one of those pieces that I envisioned this interview 100 times in my head, and I don't think it could have gone any better than how it did just now. I mean, it was seriously a wonderful interview. Thank you again, Merkins, for your time, and yeah, it just means the world to us.
Yeah, it's such a great interview, and I know what people are seeing here is probably what an hour 20 total. I mean, there's probably 2 hours worth of stuff that we didn't even record that we were just
Yeah.
talking. So much wealth of information, and
Mhm.
just I think anyone who's a horror fan and is familiar with the Merkins, I think this is a great video for you to check out. But also, if you're just a YouTube creator, I think there's a lot of great stuff in here, kind of tiptoeing around those kind of copyright issues and trying to get your content out there without any sort of hangups is always an interesting tidbit that I think a lot of people, unless you're really in the community of YouTube and putting up videos consistently, it's not something you think about. But it is a pretty big deal. And to think of someone who has 1 million+ subscribers still going through those same issues, it's just it's a wild concept to think about, because yes, we're still growing, we're still in our kind of embryonic stages, and we're still dealing with those copyright issues and things like that. But the Merkins does as well. But a lot of great stuff here. I think it's really inspiring to kind of listen to his process and know what he has to go through, and kind of bringing that content to people, and what is that next thing. So I'm curious to see what's the future holds for the Merkins. I know it's going to be something that's going to be really interesting. It's going to be a lot of fun, and this interview was just such a great time.
Absolutely. And that reminds me again, I know I flashed it up during the interview, but please go check out the Merkins Patreon. Go support him over there. He's definitely earned his keep. I've worked specifically on a few of these projects. You heard us talk about some of the stories in there. And I just know how hard he works behind the scenes on this stuff. And the fact that, he's had to kind of sacrifice so much and gain so little as far as anything monetary to kind of keep this afloat. It's one of those things that it just goes to the love of content creation and the love and passion that he brings to these projects. So I think like if you guys can support him, if you can go over there, if you've never heard him, go watch his stuff. And honestly, throwing even $5 a month is a huge difference for any creator. I know we don't necessarily have anything like that set up yet. I don't think that we're at the point where that infrastructure is really ready for us yet. We just started to get into the kind of ad revenue source of this. So I think little by little, hopefully the content that we bring you guys will be worth it. And hopefully we will get some supporters as we go down the road. But again, we're going to keep this stuff as free as possible and as much as we can. And yeah, I mean, that to seriously sit here and have somebody give you the raw numbers of just what they were able to do it's such a resource. And to have him like just be able to almost like, as a lot of YouTubers would say, spill his guts on that side of it, it's so humbling. And seriously, just picking our channel to do that it's seriously very humbling, because it's a tough reality. But if you want to be a content creator, you want to come up in the space, it's a pill that everybody's got to swallow, that it's not as easy as just flipping on a camera and going viral. It takes a lot of time, a lot of dedication. And I mean, we've experienced it in 2 years here, but I mean, I wouldn't change anything we've done so far. I'm having so much fun. I really love all the people we've gotten to meet and the people who comment on our videos. So thank you all. And yeah, seriously, this interview was just one for the books for me, for sure.
Absolutely.
Alrighty, but other than that, guys, definitely check out our other content on the channel. Again, go over to the Merkins, subscribe to him there. And if you're just coming over here from the Merkins, well, thank you. We hope you subscribe to us. And yeah, we got a lot of great stuff on the horizon, lots of fun videos. We just had the latest Screambox release. We had a review for Here for Blood up on the channel, so check that out. And yeah, I guess until next time, I'm Dylan Newell.
And I'm Luke Janesco.
And remember, stay scared.
Do the hard shit, gonna do it live. Cause Splattercast kick it every day they live. Splattercast, gonna slash your ass,